If you have your test, get it out. Let's go over it. The first one, true breeding, you should have had something about the organism passes to its offspring exactly what it looks like, or that the offspring will look just like the parent with a true breeding. Something like that. Allele, you could have said it half a gene, the gene on one homolog, something to that extent. Recessive allele is one that only shows up when it's by itself. Monohybrid cross is a cross that's focused on one trait. A dihybrid cross is a cross that's focusing on two traits. Autosomal inheritance is something about inheritance that's not on the sex chromosomes. Okay? Okay, number 2, state Mendel's 4 principles. You should have said something about the traits are determined by the genes, that there are 2 alleles for each trait, that in sexual reproduction, each parent gives 1, okay, and that if the dominant one is there, you're going to see it. Or you could have gone the other way and said the only way you're going to see the recessive is if it's alone. So either way, you could have said that one. Okay, number 3. In humans, the ability to roll one's tongue is a dominant genetic trait. If R represents this allele and little r represents the recessive allele, what are the possible genotypes for a person who can roll their tongue? So it would be either big R, or big R, little r. Okay, homozygous dominant or heterozygous individuals. Number 4, for a given trait, how many alleles does a normal gamete have?
1.
Whoops.
1.
Gamete has 1. I got it, really.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, I had to think about that. Thank you, Megan. Okay, 1. For a given trait, a normal gamete has 1. For a given trait, how many alleles does a non-gamete cell have? 2. Okay. Whew. Number 6, the ability for a person to taste PTC is a dominant genetic trait, capital T, while the inability to taste PTC is recessive, little t. If a man is heterozygous in this trait, what will his genotype be? It would be big T, little t. If a woman cannot taste PTC, what is her genotype? Little t, little t. And I'm doing the test as we're going along without looking at the answers at this point, so if I mess up, you have to tell me. Okay? All right, C, determine the percentage chance of each genotype for the children of a man in A and the woman in B. So we have a heterozygous gentleman, big T, little t, and his wife is recessive, homozygous recessive. Okay, so we are asked for determine the percentage of each genotype for the children. So you would have put 50% big T, little t, or heterozygous, and 50% homozygous recessive, or little t, little t. Okay? Hemophilia is a sex-linked recessive trait. Write a Punnett square for a non-hemophiliac man having children with a woman who carries the disease. So the man is healthy and the woman carries the disease. Okay, and if you did your Punnett square, you're supposed to put your lines. I'm being bad for time purposes. And so there's your Punnett square. What percentage of the girls will have the disease? You tell me. 0. What percentage of the boys will have the disease? 50%. There's your 50%. Here, there's no girls that show the disease. Number 8, why do recessive phenotypes in sex-linked traits show up more in males than in females? It's because the females have the other X to possibly cover the trait, whereas the males don't. Something about that. Number 9, why would you expect twins who have identical DNA, why would you not expect twins who have identical DNA be identical in every way? Because there are spiritual and environmental factors that come into play, aren't there? Number 10, name 4 means by which a genetic disorder can arise. And for that one, you could have listed autosomal inheritance, sex-linked traits, change in chromosome structure, allele mutation, or just mutation, change in chromosome number. You could have listed 4 of those. Did anybody give like a more specific answer? Okay, we're good? Good, okay. Don't you love how it says there's more on the next page? I actually, back when I used to actually copy these tests and give them to the students, I have forgotten the back page before. And the students would be going, there's more. And I'm going, where? So, all right, number 11, so I'm a little glad they do that. A pea plant is heterozygous in both the color of the pea and the height of the plant. What possible combinations of alleles exist in its gametes? Okay, and you were supposed to draw the Punnett square, which I'd rather not do if we can help it. So the possible gametes, we had a big Y, little y, and we had a big T, little t. So we could have big Y, big T, big Y, little t, little y, big T, little y, little t. Now, you did not have to put Y first. Just be consistent. If you started with the T's, that's fine. It's commutative property applies. Okay? Let's see. Then you're supposed to draw the Punnett square for this, and hopefully you guys did, because I don't want to take the time right now. So let's see if you got the next part right, and that'll tell us. C says, what are the possible phenotypes and their percentage chances? The tall yellow, you should have had 9 out of 16, which percentage-wise comes out at 56.25. But if you had 9 out of 16, I'll be happy. The tall green peas is 3 out of 16, or 18.75%. The short yellow is 3 out of 16, or 18.75%. And the short green is 1 out of 16, or 6.25%. Did anybody need to see B, or were you guys okay? If you got that last one, I know you did the other part right. Okay, good. Number 12, the following pedigree is for humans concentrating on the ability to roll their tongues. Since you already know that the ability to roll tongues is dominant and the inability to do so is recessive, determine whether the filled circles and squares represent those who can or those who cannot roll their tongues. Okay, so what'd you say on the white ones? Are the white ones recessive or dominant? Dominant, because it shows up more of the time, doesn't it? Okay, so the filled circles are the people that cannot roll their tongues, and the not filled circles are the ones that, the colored in ones, should I say, are the ones that can't roll their tongues. Okay, is that all you were answering there? Yeah, I guess so. All right, everything on the test, each answer is worth 3 points apiece. So A is worth 3, B is worth 3, C is worth 3. Okay?